Hey guys, it's Mikey Vintage here for part 2 of your Warped Tour survival guide and tips. There's so much stuff that you have to remember when going to Warped Tour that it just didn't fit in one video. Trust me, I've been there before. I was just like you guys. I remember my first Warped Tour. I was so excited when I found out what bands were playing, but I was so nervous and so just discombobulated, and so it was so chaotic trying to figure out who was playing where and when and how to get to the stages and what time is this band playing, what stage are they playing at. Trust me, we've all been there, so let me help you break it down and give you some tips as far as how, where, and when. There was so many good tips that I forgot to put in the first video that I had to make a second one. That way you guys got all the info you needed for Warped Tour this year. A marker or package of markers. There's nothing worse than seeing your favorite band or meeting your favorite person from a band and you have something for them to sign, but they have nothing to sign it with. A lot of the bands will walk around during the day and they don't carry a loose marker or loose pen with them, so just bring a marker or a pen. That way, when you do run into your favorite band, they have something to use to sign for you. Be sure to tip all the merch guys and merch girls that you see this year on Warped Tour. A lot of them sit in the hot heat while you guys are watching bands, or they sit in the rain or the humidity. So make sure you tip them or go up to them and strike a conversation with them if you're already in line buying merch. Makeup. Girls and guys. Makeup, I cannot stress this enough. Do not wear makeup. It is going to be hot as all holy hell outside, and you do not want to be looking like a clown or a hot ass mess, because trust me when I say it will fade, it will not last all day, and even if you're not in the pit, it will eventually start to run and get sweaty, and it's just try not to make yourself up at all at Warped Tour. Honestly, no one cares, no one's going to judge you. More than half of the bands on Warped Tour actually have to pay to be on Warped Tour. A lot of people don't know that, so make sure that you tell the bands how much you appreciate them and let them know that, you know, you're there to see them, or, you know, just make sure that you give them a friendly hello or let them know that you enjoyed their set. That'll most likely make their day. And a lot of bands that have to pay to be on Warped Tour, they just make their money based off of merchandise, and that determines where they sleep that night or if they can get a hotel or where they're going to eat at that night. So definitely support, you know, the local bands and the side stage bands if at all possible. Definitely support the side stage bands. I've been to at least 4 Warped Tours already, and let me tell you guys, bands that are huge and are playing main stage or have played main stages, like The Devil Wears Prada, Gym Class Heroes, A Day to Remember, Family Force 5, Inner Party System, 303, The Almost, even Katy Perry. Believe it or not, Katy Perry actually played a Warped Tour side stage one year. And now look at her, and look at all these other bands. Look at how much they have succeeded and how much success they've had in the last few years. So definitely check out the side stage bands, because you never know what bands are going to blow up next year or somewhere down the line. You could say, hey, I saw them, you know, back before anyone really knew them. I cannot stress this enough. If you get tired, hot, sore, dehydrated, rest. Go to a shaded spot or just sit down if at all possible. You do not want to overdo it at Warped Tour, trust me. So for those of you who have already been to Warped Tour, you know what I'm about to talk about. For those who are the first time, the bathrooms and porta potties are disgusting. So if there's anything that I can recommend, it's to bring sandy wipes or to bring some Germ-X to wipe in your hands, because you, trust me, you will thank me later. You will feel so much cleaner if you have that, rather than having to use those porta potties and stuff. It'll make sense when you're at Warped Tour, trust me. But definitely sandy wipes or hand sanitizer. I feel like one of the main questions that people get asked about Warped Tour who have already been Warped Tour veterans is, what time are bands playing? The band slots change every day. The band lineup is random. A band like The Devil Wears Prada could be playing at 9 o'clock in the morning one day, and then the next day they could be the last band to play the main stage. So it just changes every day. No one really knows except for Kevin Lyman, the founder of Warped Tour, and he doesn't really give out that information. It's very rare if you find out the lineup beforehand. Usually they scramble all of the band's names and just put it on the giant inflatable the morning of, and then as soon as the doors open, that's how you know who's playing where, and the bands get a piece of paper telling them, hey, this is the stage you're playing at today, and this is the time that you're going on. So it's random. It changes every day. So make sure you check out the big lineup, the big board, when you first get into Warped Tour. Make sure to get plenty of sleep the night before Warped Tour, because trust me when I say you will need the energy. And every single bit of energy that you have, you are going to need on Warped Tour. The #1 rule at Warped Tour is this: if you see someone fall in front of you, next to you, behind you, whatever, if you see someone fall, pick them back up as soon as possible. You would want the same in return. So the unspoken rule of Warped Tour is if you see anyone fall, make sure you pick them back up immediately. The number of people or friends that you go with to Warped Tour can change your Warped Tour experience. So my suggestion is to make sure that the friends that you are going with are into the same kind of bands that you are. That way you know they're going to want to see the bands that you want to see. There's nothing worse than going with a bunch of people who have different musical tastes, and one person wants to see this band and one person wants to see that band, and you end up missing a band that you really wanted to go to Warped Tour to see. So if that's the case, if your group does have mixed taste, make sure that you guys compromise. If your friend goes to a band that she doesn't particularly care about or he doesn't particularly care about, do the same in return for them. If they're doing the same for you, you would want the same done for you. So make sure that you compromise and just, take turns during the day if you can't agree on what bands to go see. Another big one is that the pits are no joke. Guys and girls, everyone is welcome into the pit, but make sure you can hold your own in the pit because those things are serious. And especially if you hear a band call out for what is called the Wall of Death, move to the side if you do not want to be a part of it. The Wall of Death, for those who don't know, are people line up on each side and just start running and charging at each other. And especially if you're in the middle, you could get seriously hurt. So make sure if the pit is not your scene, or if you don't want to get hurt or kicked or spin kicked or windmilled in the face, make sure you move out of the way if you cannot hold your own. Definitely just watch it from afar if you still want to see the pit but don't want to be a part of it. Guys and girls, I cannot stress this enough. Make sure you have plenty of water and sunscreen. You will need water to be hydrated, and you will need sunscreen because you will burn if you don't have it. I don't care how cool you think you are, or I don't need sunscreen, I'm too cool for that, I don't need to put on sunscreen. Put on sunscreen. I went to a Warped Tour one year that was 107 degrees, and I didn't put on any kind of sunscreen, and I was red like a lobster for a week, and it sucked. Trying to put on clothes and shower, it sucked. So trust me, water and sunscreen and sunglasses are going to be your best friends at Warped Tour. Don't try to look your best at Warped Tour because there's a good chance that your clothes will get ripped and they will get dirty even if you're not in the pit. A lot of the venues for Warped Tour are outside, and when people start running or going in circles, dust can get kicked up. So even if you're not in the pit, you can still get dirty and you can still get sweaty and pretty gross. When you first get to Warped Tour, a suggestion I have is to find a meetup spot, because especially if you're on your phone a lot trying to figure out, texting your friends or calling your parents or calling whoever, your phone battery is not going to last all day. Trust me, Warped Tour is long. It goes on all day long, so you are not going to have a full battery life. Make sure when you get into Warped Tour, my suggestion is to designate a meetup spot for you and your friends in case you guys get lost. That way, if one of you gets lost, you don't have to call one another, and especially if your phone dies, this way you can just know where the person is if you designate a meetup spot and just meet them if anyone gets lost. It's as simple as that, and I think it's a good idea. I personally have never gone with a group, but if you go with a group, which a lot of people do, a lot of people carpool and go to Warped Tour, make sure you designate a meetup spot in case anyone in your group gets lost. That way you're not missing any bands to have to search for them. When you first go in, if you don't want to write down the schedule or the bands that are playing, there's usually guys that walk around that'll sell copies or photocopies of the map and what bands are playing where, and you can just carry that with you all day rather than having to write it down or rather than having to keep checking the board. So my suggestion is invest $2 or $3 in a map. That way you can prioritize your day, figure out what band's playing where, and with over 100 bands that are playing every day, it's a good idea to invest in the map. That way you don't have to keep running back. You know who's playing where, and you can figure out, I'm seeing this band at this time, this band at this time, this band at this time, and you'll know what time they're playing and what stage that they're at. So definitely invest in a map. That's one of my personal, that's what I have usually done, and a lot of other people have said that they do that, and your day will run a lot smoother if you do that. That way you're not wasting time trying to figure out where someone is, or that way you're not getting lost or you end up being at the wrong stage. And my suggestion is to show up to the stage during the band before the one you want to see. So say you want to see Set Your Goals, but Yellowcard is playing before Set Your Goals. Well, if you want to see Set Your Goals, go to the end of the band's set before the band you want to see and just stand there. Just make your presence known. Just stand there and wait. And more than likely, you may not get up to the front, but you will get a good view. This works for side stage and main stage bands. Trust me, I've been doing it for 4 years, so I know the drill. Another one of my suggestions is that if two bands that you like are playing at the exact same time, instead of having to miss one, my suggestion is to watch half of each of their sets. Either watch the first half of one band and then go over and watch the last half of another band that you want to see. If that happens, which it does happen a lot, two bands will play at the same time that you might like. Okay guys, I'm Mikey Vintage. This is probably one of the best summer tours that is out there that has been going on for years. It's going to be a great summer. It's going to be a great Warped Tour. Hopefully I answered all your questions and give you plenty of good tips. If you have any other questions or you want any other advice or tips, leave me comments below. I check my YouTube just about every day. Also, if you want to add me on Facebook or if you want to add me on Tumblr, my links are down below. Guys, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Warped Tour 2012 is going to be kick-ass this year, and I will see you guys in the pit.